the one problem that we had on September 11th is that we never knew what was going to happen on that day. Our intelligence lapses were enormous. We can't have that happen again, and every little bit counts.
Well, following that same note, at the convention, Melody Schumann, one of our leading instructors, talked about how one of the terrorists actually trained at her school, and his goal was to learn knife fighting, but he only wanted to learn the offensive techniques, not the defensive techniques, and they basically ran him off. How can a school owner prevent what they teach from being abused like that?
Just like you said, they ran him off. They knew, martial arts artists have some very keen instincts and insights, and I think generally, unless somebody's just a professional con, I think people understand others when they come into the school, what they're looking for and why they're attempting to do what they're doing, and the instructors, they have to have dialogue and they have to have relationships with their students. It's absolutely necessary. So they know their backgrounds, they know their personalities, they know their families. I think that's essential because it's good for their business. It brings in additional students. It helps their business, but it gives them some insights to the people that they're working with.
And there's a tremendous amount of responsibility with the information. A couple more things before we wrap up. You were involved in anti-terrorism in the Middle East. Was there anything that gave you a hint that an attack of such magnitude could be pulled off as we saw September 11th?
Not necessarily the magnitude of the attack, but the mindset. The mindset's been there for years. I've listened to people criticize the president over the last year saying, well, we knew this was going to happen. Nobody did anything about it. Well, nobody walked into President Bush's office and said, there's a bunch of guys they're gonna hijack some planes and run them into buildings. That never happened. But, you would have to be living in the Stone Age if you didn't know that the World Trade Center was bombed in 1993, if the Al-Kabar Towers in Tehran wasn't bombed, if the Cole wasn't attacked, or our embassies in Kenya and Tanzania wasn't attacked over the last 8 years. I think President Bush has done more in the last year to combat terrorism that had been done in the prior 8-year administration. Did we see it coming? We just weren't. We weren't putting all the pieces together. Can something like this happen again? Absolutely. Will it be that big, that great? I don't know.
Yeah. On a recent documentary I saw, a camera followed you and the mayor in the minutes right after the attack, and you guys were scrambling, trying to find a safe haven, to find a headquarters. What was going through your head?
I guess primarily to get the mayor in a safety zone. The mayor, Mayor Giuliani, is extremely aggressive. He's very responsive. He was at the scene probably within 2 or 3 minutes after the second plane hit the second building. But he is also obligated to stay alive, to run the city. And it's my job, it was my job as the police commissioner to make sure he did so. So, I think in one of the clips, I guess the most public clip, there's a scene where the mayor's staff is telling him, we have to go to City Hall to call the White House. Well, this was only probably within 15 minutes after the attack. I wasn't sure if there were any more planes. I didn't know what the other targets would be. I was really worried about City Hall. And I didn't want the mayor to go to City Hall. I told him we have to go north. We have to get him out of that danger zone.
What was the most difficult part of that day for you?
I guess watching the people jump from the buildings, from the 95th floor, the 100th floor. And I think that evening talking to the families that were, of the cops that were missing.
At your time in Rikers and as an undercover cop, you must have thought prior to 9/11 that you had seen the most depraved, violent people on this earth. Was there anything in your career that would have prepared you for what you saw that day?
No. I've been in this business 26, 27 years, and I know others that have been here equally as long or more. No one's one's ever seen anything like this, and hopefully they'll never see it again.
What has the last year taught you about the American people?
If you had to sum it up in one word, resilience. You know, historians will say that every 50 or 60 years you have to do a number of things to, you know, something major has to happen to bring people together. Well, this was it, and they came together strong. They stuck together. The solidarity, the patriotism, it's just proven how strong this country can really be.
With somebody with your background leading up to that day, in what ways has 9/11 changed you?
It's given me a new perspective on family.
Interesting.
You know, I've been involved in gun battles. I've lost some very close friends in the New York City Police Department that was shot and killed. My partner was shot in a gun battle that I was involved in, but I never really thought about my family and my life as much as I did on that day. Maybe because there were 2 or 3 times that day that it was, we had some really close calls, but I think the magnitude of the event, the death, the destruction, everything combined gave me a new outlook on life.
Were there times during that day you felt in fear for your own life?
Well, there were a couple times. When Flight 175 hit Tower 2, I was basically standing under it, and the debris in the plane came down around us, and the mayor and I were trapped at 75 Barclay Street when Tower 2 came down. We couldn't get out. That was pretty close. And then at some point in time that morning, we were on West Street at the Incident Command Center, the Fire Incident Command Center, and we left there, and about 12 minutes later, when Building 2 came down, most of those people that were there died. So we had some close calls.
Oh, my goodness, sir. It is an honor to meet you and spend some time with you. Thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule
Thank
to
you.
share your insights on what has been an interesting year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.